you should buy Qualcomm stock, and this is why. First of all, there's this huge semiconductor shortage in the United States and in the world. There's a semiconductor shortage, and Qualcomm is one of the biggest semiconductor producers in the world, and they make really good semiconductors. Qualcomm is known around the world for making amazing semiconductors, and there's probably going to be a shortage for a long time because there's not really enough companies that make semiconductors. And so, a lot of companies need semiconductors, like car companies like Ford and GM and Tesla, and computer companies need semiconductors. All technology companies need semiconductors. There's a huge demand for semiconductors, and I need you to understand that Qualcomm's one of the best semiconductors makers in the world, and they make really high quality stuff. So that's number one. Number two is cell phones. People buy like new cell phone like every 2 years or whatever. And the most important part of what they sell in the cell phone is a semiconductor. All cell phones need semiconductors, and actually I'm not sure if that's a semiconductor or if it's another item, but I know I forgot if it's the processor. I think Qualcomm makes it might not be the semiconductor, but it's the processor that the CPU that powers the cell phone, right? Qualcomm makes those, and Qualcomm makes them more than any other company. Most cell phones use a Qualcomm Snapdragon, or they have another company that does it. I think Hawaii is another company that does it, but anyways, because of nationalism, Trump didn't kind of ban the U.S. from using Hawaii. So, not that I agree with that, but for better or worse, the United States mostly just uses Qualcomm now that we don't use companies from China as much for cell phones. So, because of nationalism, a lot of times we're forced to buy American-made products, even if they're more expensive. So that helps Qualcomm. Not that I agree with that concept, but that nationalism is something that helps Qualcomm because they make them in San Diego, California, and that's good for Qualcomm stock. And Qualcomm's a really good company. They've been going up in price. They've gained market share. And a lot of people want to buy cell phone stocks, and they're like, oh, buy Nokia or buy Apple or whatever. Well, to me, the most important part of the cell phone is the processor, and Qualcomm makes the processors. So I wouldn't necessarily buy a cell phone stock, but I would buy the company that makes the nuts and bolts of what's inside the cell phone. To me, that's the most important part of a cell phone. So to me, cell phones are so important to our daily life. That's why the processors makers is Qualcomm, and that's why it's just a really important stock to own, Qualcomm, because you need the processors for the cell phones, and then the semiconductors, they make those, and they need those for cars. Cars are being more and more technologically advanced, and you need semiconductors to make the advanced cars we have today, or we're going to be making in the next few years. And cars are going to be more like advanced computer systems, and the computer systems in the dashboard, they need the semiconductors. And that's why there's going to be a shortage, and a shortage that's good for Qualcomm stock, even though I'm sure they can make more, but maybe there won't be a shortage at some point, but they're still going to be hugely in demand, massively in demand. So if you care about technology, or you think about the nuts and bolts of what makes technology special, you think Qualcomm is the stock you want to own. It's probably going up. I forgot the exact price, but I invest in companies that are good companies, that are important companies, and companies that make things that are vital for the global economy or the U.S. economy, things that people need in their daily lives. People need cell phones to survive nowadays, and Qualcomm makes the most important part of the cell phone, which is the processor, the CPU, and people need that processor. People need semiconductors, and it's a growth industry, and it's going to be growing more and more every year. It's not like car tires or it's not like refrigerators or something. It's not like something. It's like some 100-year-old item. It is a new thing, and it's very important. And a lot of people don't understand how important processors and semiconductors are. A lot of people don't understand that, and so they're hesitant to invest in the stock. But really, from a technological perspective, it's a very important company to own. All right, that's it. You should buy Qualcomm stock. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.